So we got through it. What did it teach us about the shortage?
We need more educated nurses.
Say that again.
36,000 to 40,000 nursing shortage.
If you're a caring, loving person, nursing is the perfect way to go.
There were times when I would go back home crying and was questioning if this is the right field for me or not. And that COVID really did bring us together. Some of these people got so creative with these masks. Motorcycle helmet, Halloween mask.
Nurses have always been in high demand, and today our healthcare climate is facing unprecedented shortages. These are due to an aging population, burnout, and lack of nursing faculty, while COVID-19 only made these more pronounced. Hi, I'm Cindy Chamberlain, and join me for another episode of The Making of a Nurse as we discuss nursing shortages.
I am here with Dave Kuhs, Talent Acquisition and Career Services Director of Gurnick Academy, all campuses. And you actually were the first one that introduced me to Gurnick Academy. I remember one day almost 4 years ago getting
4 years.
Almost 4 years, getting a call from someone named Dave Kuhs for Gurnick Academy. I think I never knew of Gurnick Academy. And you said, I've been looking at your resume. And I said, oh. And so then we began talking, and you put me in contact with my boss, Nick. And here we are, right here, just like that. And also with us is Neema, Patel, and you are the Career Services Coordinator for the San Jose campus. So you're specifically working with Dave, but on a localized level within this campus. So we are braving the topic of the nursing shortage in America today. I'm going to guess you're both going to tell me we do have something to talk about.
Absolutely.
We do.
I'm going to start out. I know there was a lot of news briefing around the time of COVID, and we began really hearing of pronounced shortages. Was there anything to that, or was that news hype?
There was definitely something to that degree. Like I said, COVID has taught us a lot about how the physical, mental, and emotional toll it took on nurses. There was a reason why a lot of nurses walked off the job. If anything, COVID taught us that we were not well equipped with everything that there is in healthcare to support our nurses and support the ongoing healthcare system in general. So a lot of nurses did end up walking off the job. We did not feel like we were supported. I was an ICU manager at the time, and honestly, I didn't have the equipment to even protect myself. Did I stay there? Yes, I did. Why did I do that? For my patients, which is why a lot of nurses that did stay, but a lot of us also wanted to protect our families, just like a lot of us that are not in healthcare. So that was understood. But again, we were not equipped to protect ourselves.
Were these seasoned nurses that walked off then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was a lot of the more seasoned nurses that walked off, a lot of nurses that have been in the workforce for a while that just said, I've been doing this, I'm tired, and I'm not getting the resources or the support that I need.
So we went in with a deficit, and the deficit is made greater by then COVID, which pronounces even more shortages, and so ensues sort of a healthcare crisis that we've dealt with. What did you see from your perspective in the job market as a recruiter filling places for that?
Just as a recruiter and as working for career services, the market became wide open. The need for nurses was exponential. At the same time, people weren't ready for all of this. The nurses, the students, pretty much are like, do we want to do this? Do we want to go there? And then all of a sudden that apprehension created more problems because it created more need. And all of a sudden it just kind of spiraled straight down.
By apprehension, are you meaning the fear now of COVID?
In the beginning, and then actually as we as career services individuals talk with our students and graduates and tell them, look, you're going to go into the market anyways, right? Even before COVID. You know that there's health concerns out there. You're going to deal with sick people and other things. This is another exposure, and if done well, By the time our students graduated and we started placing our students, market kind of changed. You got the needs that they needed in the hospitals, and it helped continue to grow. But the nurses that resigned or continued to resign, that continued on. So it's still, the shortage grew and grew.
How did students feel that? I mean, this segment is not about that, but I know Gurnick came out pretty honorably answering that call. Can we just touch on that a little bit?
It reminded me of a quick story. We made the news, and it happened when we were in San Mateo, where campus moved to San Jose. In San Mateo, we worked with another, it was one of our clinical partners, and it was a skilled nursing facility in San Mateo. And they had a walk-off, as she just stated, a walk-off of nurses. Literal one day, they called our campus and said, your students are in clinical rotations. You have teachers there. Can they stay? What do you mean, can they stay? Well, can they, under the scope of the instructor, can they work and assist us because we have staff needs? So we brought in other students because there's a lot of students that weren't working in clinical rotations because of COVID. So we had the excess students to go there. So by doing that, we found that they had just as much need as you mentioned with the masks, with other units that you needed. We supplied as a school and donated, and our school actually worked with them for about a month until they worked through some of their issues. But that's not the first. I've heard of many throughout the country, reading news reports and other things, that there are other hospitals had to close. They closed units during this time, and it caused a shortage continually.
And when you say prepared, that was the N95 masks, that was a PPE equipment, that like gloves. And you said you had masked up 3 layers even?
I gloved up 3 layers. Masked up, we did have just your regular mask, your 3-layer mask. And then on top of that, when COVID got really bad, yes, we did have an N95 on top of that. And then you had your face shield. You had an entire gown that covered you from head to bottom, where you could only see my eye slits. You did not know who I was.
So we got through it. What did it teach us about the shortage that we're going into, and why are we going into a shortage of nurses?
We need more nurses. We need more educated nurses quicker. At that time, prior to COVID, state of California, if not nationally, nurses, when they've tested and NCLEX, it took time to go through the process, right? Well, all of them looked and tried, how can we expedite this? How can we produce and get out more students and graduates to go to the workforce? Including, what can we do for our current employees, right? What can we do for them to stay longer and keep the retention of the employees?
So you looked at, are the employees happy? How can we make them happier? What can we do with this valuable resource called people? Okay. What did that look like on the ground?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing that came from the COVID pandemic for employees in general in nursing is mental health and how to take care of our mental being. A lot of us did, unfortunately, burn out. Your 8-hour, 12-hour shift quickly turned into a double or even a triple-hour shift. So it was something that took a big toll on us. We had families to take care of too. We had to take care of ourselves, but we put ourselves on the front line to take care of people. So mental health was one of the biggest things, and which is why you have so many of these companies that, like BetterHelp and things like that, that have come about, 7 Cups that we use here at Gurnick, that have come about because COVID has taught us that if we can't protect our employees' mental beings, they're not going to stick around, and there's no way that we can protect employee resiliency.
So if you burn out nurses or employees in general, if you burn them out, you make them work double back-to-back shifts, you provide no morale, you provide no respite, no nurturing of that employee.
Yep. Absolutely.
So part of this shortage then is learning how to work with people, learning how to make the nurses feel nurtured. We're not talking about catering. We're really just talking about human-to-human decency, valuing them as professionals, valuing them as the backbone and front lines of where we need them to be.
Absolutely.
In our places, our communities, our hospitals, our healthcare facilities. I'm hearing you say we've learned, we have to retain. Okay, what else do we need to do?
We have to produce more nurses in the field.
Okay.
We as a country, as a state, as a country, have to provide for and establish programs like Gurnick has to provide for more nurses to be into the field and to prepare them to understand that this is what you're going to be going in for. This is what you're going to be doing, and to understand that this pandemic, although it was a one-time thing, it can happen again, right? And is this what you really want? So I have to really think it through. So with education and with the nursing, they have to take a little more time to understand who they are. And I think that was a big change, right? In nursing is you talked about mental health, right? So a lot of times before that, nurses were just like, oh, you're just a nurse. No,
Right.
nurses they became like firemen, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The heroes that they would stay.
No, they did. Even like in New York, we saw banners going up, nurses are heroes and billboards, and suddenly realizing we have taken them for granted way too long.
I think that also built into, if you think about it, and from the recruiting perspective, right? We talked about that a minute ago. If you look out from the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of companies offering starting bonuses. Have you ever seen a starting bonus for a nurse before?
No.
They started having starting bonuses for nurses, LVNs, RNs, and that became very integral part of the recruiting because of the shortage. So now they've got hospitals, clinics, all fighting for that same shortage, the same nurses, and they're now offering bonuses. So that increased shortage and retention, people moving from place to place.
So we went into retaining, we went into incentivizing, and then did we see travel nurses and per diem issue more so in that climate? Okay.
Especially if you think about, and I know that when I was in recruiting and staffing, if you know where King City is up 101 going in California, it's kind of out middle of nowhere. Well, per diem and travel became very popular because they just didn't have enough nurses locally to establish. So they had to bring a lot of travelers in.
Okay. What else did we do besides retention, recruitment, and creative methods? What did you see from your vantage points is what we did to meet and mitigate that shortage?
I know the RN board and the LDN boards have opened up more opportunities for school and education to bring on more programs.
Okay.
And you see article after article after article for several years now about nursing, about the importance of nursing, go into the field of nursing. It's become more of a political thing now. You see governors and talking about nursing. You see it go all the way up to the high levels of government talking about nursing and the needs and how we as a country need to do something about this now. Because we already had it, now it just keeps going.
So education, information is what I'm hearing you say. That fourth prong of that.
Correct.
Okay. That seems like a pretty strong four-prong system. Is there anything else to that four-prong chair? Is there a fifth prong? Or is that where we're maintaining as a society now?
Well, did you mention mental health? That would be the fifth.
Mental health would be the fifth.
Yeah.
See, I'm just so intrigued by that because I've heard some stories. We had the elderly people in nursing homes, secluded. We've had people that are still in their homes, but elderly that couldn't get out for things like church or civic groups that they were used to. And I think we're just now learning in the aftermath some of those mental health crucial issues. From educators' perspective and a nursing perspective, do you have anecdotal information that you saw transpire during that time, which you want to relay on that? Because I know, like with my own parents, I saw that they were so secluded. They made their once-a-week trip to the grocery store, and something deteriorated in that time because they didn't have those social connections. What did you see in the healthcare system and the educational system here?
Within education itself, a lot of your nurses that came out during COVID and went through schooling during COVID and had online classes versus being in-person classes and interacting one-on-one, we saw when they came into the hospital, because we were hiring, we were short at that point. We hired you no matter what. We needed nurses at this point.
The criteria was a pulled.
Right.
Okay.
But as soon as you came in, I couldn't get a nurse to hit the ground running. I'm telling you I need X, Y, and Z, and you don't know how to move from there. You didn't know how to interact with patients. You didn't know how to empathetically, sympathetically taught you. You didn't build that compassion because you didn't have that foundation. So that was a huge hinder, and we still see it to this day in the hospital. Nurses that came out during the COVID pandemic era, they just don't have a certain skill set that they would have gotten had they had in-person classes and interacted with patients on a one-to-one basis.
So you're talking the soft skills, the bedside manners, empathy. I'm sorry you're feeling sad today. How can we help you? Those softer skills may be lacking because of the COVID era of Zoom and Google Meet. It may go down as a watermark for, I remember my grandparents always referring to the Great Depression, and it seems like the nurses of this era may be the COVID era nurses that were trained under certain conditions. Right. Okay. So we're doing what we can with education and combating, and we're trying to retain better. We're trying to care for mental health issues. And how do these play into the national need now with baby boomers bottlenecking into the healthcare system? What do we see? Where are we going?
Well, as the baby boomers are approaching retirement, we know that, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, independent living facilities are going to be highly impacted. And when you don't have enough nurses set in place at these stages of care, you're not going to have people in place to be able to take care of this level of just people that are coming out, right? So if we're not able to get a certain number, like in California, for example, we have, as of now, a 36,000 to 40,000 nursing shortage.
Say that again.
36,000 to 40,000 nursing shortage as of now.
Today.
As of now, today.
In California.
In California alone. And that's nationwide. Just in California alone, that's the number I have for you. That's issued from the BRN, our state registered board. So that's what the BRN is telling us. Now, do we have enough nurses to flood the system and meet this need as of now? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. But that's what we're working towards.
And the projections for that, do we see those numbers going even increasing more?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because the average baby boomer is now going to the doctor about once a week, once every other week. But as they age into that further, we're going to see that exponentially increase with that. Okay. And you're saying those 36,000 deficits are paralleling national numbers as well now. Okay. Thoughts on that?
She's correct. See, there's been other statistics that we've looked at that it could be up to 29 before it starts to level off, 2029. So we still have a number of years to be working with this shortage. Now, from our perspective and employers that we work with, they're constantly changing what they do now. They're giving them time to train.
Okay.
They're working with their mental health.
Okay.
They are saying what works best for you and the hours can work best for you. Now, they weren't like that before. It's like, here's your shift. This is what you do. Employers are actually trying to say, these are new nurses coming on. We need to make sure that they're happy. And if they're happy, they're going to take care of our patients and we'll retain them, because part of the whole shortage is to retain what you have.
Right.
And then grow those individuals. And that is working so far, at least the employers that we've talked to.
Okay.
Now, does that stop the need? No, it doesn't stop the need. Because once these individuals, like in any position, gets educated and does well in these jobs, they then move on to the next position. And that will help out the hospitals, right?
Right.
Because they might move on to hospitals at that point.
With the magnet program of having all BSN level nurses in hospital system.
Correct.
Okay.
But the LVN's at that lower level. Starting with skilled nursing or some of the other clinics or facilities, but a large number of them going back and getting their BSNs.
So incentivizing those people to stay in the system, grow within the system, and move up the ladder as they go.
And many do that. Many offer that educational opportunities.
Is there, at the bottom rung of the LVN, is there increased incentives for them to get that first level? Like, are they lowering entrance criterion, or are they
Not low
hand-holding more to get those people in there, or there's a more greater recruitment level?
Pre-COVID, a new grad couldn't get a job as an LVN in many places.
Correct.
they had lowered that. Now most will allow a new grad to work.
Okay.
But they work very closely with RNs. They work very closely. They have seniors or they have individuals that they follow, and that's very strict. But that's changed now. That's starting to turn a little bit now, and they're saying, okay, we need to go back to very strict standards of specifics for the job that they do in nursing.
So I almost feel like I know I had sent to you guys, and we're going to put it on the video portion of this, but I had sent this beautiful picture. It's a World War II photo that you're basically saying your government needs you to be a nurse. And I almost feel like we need to have a campaign like that again, but for going forward now, a modern version that your country really needs you to be a nurse and take up nursing now. What are some ways we can make that really attractive to people?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a great, if you're a caring, loving person, nursing is the perfect way to go. The pay for nursing has increased more so since COVID, and it's more enticing.
Oh, wait, so it has increased
Steadily, yes,
at all levels?
at all levels, at all levels. More so I've ever seen in the number of years that I've been in staffing, which is 25 plus years. Over the last 6 years, I've seen more increases in pay raises and starting pay, benefits, bonuses. I've never seen that before that.
Do you think there'll be something on the other end to incentivize them not to retire right away too, but bonuses to stay on longer on that end of?
We're working with hospitals now and kind of as a school, we're saying, what can we do to work with your HR teams
Right.
to incentivize them is they reach the end. Maybe you can bring them on into education. Maybe they can come to teach. Maybe they can now work per diem, teach the new graduates coming in, but then also in the field, but also work for a school. So they're incentivizing them the best they can, so they don't just boom, gone. Right, that they can kind of see if we can stretch them a little longer and use their experience and their knowledge, because as she stated, and we're going to see it more and more as COVID, these individuals need more and more time to ramp up and to be the best nurses that they could be.
So there is incentives then to mentor.
You stepped out of nursing, went into career services, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, back when you were in it, before COVID, was nurses treated the way they are treated today?
No.
Were they're really, I mean, they're not praised like heroes as they were during COVID.
Right.
But when you see a nurse, it's like you want to just go up and give them a hug, right? And you didn't do that before.
So that's changed.
That's changed dramatically.
Dramatically.
What was it like before? Was it just they took you for granted? They're just going to keep.
When I started as a nurse, and we're talking 10 plus years now,
Okay.
I don't know if you know this saying, but nurses eat their young. So when I started as a nurse, my senior nurse that took me under her wing, I came out of school, she had 20 plus years of experience on me. But when I came out of school, I was taught a different way and she was taught a different way. So when I would ask questions or bring something up or ask for a further explanation, she would just kind of shut me down, which is something that nurses of my generation, we don't do that anymore. We have learned to work with our new oncoming nurses. Medicine changes every 3 months. So a nurse that comes out every 3 months has learned a different way, an easier way possibly, or a more efficient way of doing something. If you can teach that to another nurse and just keep medicine evolving, you're just helping out your fellow nurse. Now, your more tenured nurses, when I came out, they didn't understand that. They thought we were coming after them for their jobs. So it didn't work that way. A lot of the times, us newer nurses, when I came out, we felt like we were 100% taken for granted, that, they didn't want us in the field. We were going after somebody's job. There were times when I would go back home crying and was questioning if this is the right field for me or not. But I stuck through it because, again, I wanted to be there for my patients. I just wanted to see them go through the process, help them get better, and let them go home.
So it was every nurse for him or herself.
Correct.
And then that has changed
Dramatically.
Okay, so now you're a community more so that really needs.
And that COVID really did bring us together. COVID brought us together as a community, that we should stand as one. We're not going after each other.
It's funny you say that. As I was just talking with an employer from a skilled nursing facility, and I'd asked them that question: how do you retain? What do you do? How do you treat your nurses? Right? We have a You hear about this in Google or other companies, right? But we have a baseball team, we have a softball team, we have a car team now that we show cars. We have a picnic team, we have a hiking team, we have a walking team, and are doing all of this to provide the mental health. But you don't have to be a big company to do these things. You could be a small skilled nursing facility, plan your staffing accordingly, and then participate as a family, friends, and society work together. And it's worked really well.
Yeah.
And they've taken this upon themselves to then do it at all of their facilities. And the employees are really loving it.
So the mental health has gone way
Way up.
Much better.
Way up. And this is not the first you're going to hear about this. You're going to hear more and more about the nurses. Like she said, it was dog eat dog,
Yep.
but now it's like, okay, we have to work collaboratively. Why can't we be friends, and why can't we enjoy each other's company more so than just during the work?
I'm going to ask this. You said that the colleagues are more respectful to nurses. Are the patients?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it didn't always used to be that way. But again, thanks to COVID and everything that did go on and everything that social media, the news, and everyone that put out there, and just the social calling for nurses and the appreciation and just the outpour of love has taught everyone that you're going to need this person. This person is your right-hand man. At the end of the day, I am an advocate for you. When you can't speak for yourself, I'm the one standing up for you. They are so much more appreciative of us now.
That's amazing that they actually got it, that you might walk off. Now, is it hyperbole that there were no beds sometimes in the hospital
Oh yeah.
during COVID?
Oh yeah. We had that happen. Like I said, I worked ICU. We had to open up a second wing in a different part of the building and have a whole different bed set up there. It wasn't individual rooms. You were just partitioned off by curtains. And then when we couldn't do that, we had an outside ward opened up just in our parking lot.
An outside wall.
An outside ward just in our parking lot. We sectioned off an area in the parking lot, but that's what we had to do. We adapted.
Now, did you put a tent over it eventually?
Yeah.
Because there's a hospital I just visited recently that still is using their outside ward, and it's a tent in the parking lot, and they've broken it off into it's their ER that feeds into the other ER. So these are the lighter cases, these are the more heavy cases, and they're doing that because people, and here's the problem, because of COVID, a lot of people didn't go to the hospital. Now people are going back and saying, I have this issue, or I have that issue,
Right.
and they've got to go to ER, because the doctors and everything, the way medicine's changed, people are spending more time going to ER. So that's caused more problems,
Correct.
more needs. Again, going back to the beginning, going back to the shortage. So you'll see that still in many hospitals, is they still have that outside tent and they're still using it.
Now, tell me something funny or something anecdotal that people will remember in relation to shortages and what we might know going forward.
Let me tell you something. So I'll tell you this. Working ICU unit, we also had to kind of cross-train and do ER and all of that also. Everything, honestly. Let's be honest. Some of these people got so creative with these masks. Let me just say, it would be anything from just anything as simple as just tying a scarf around their mouth, and they thought that was sufficient enough. Okay. Or wearing a full-on motorcycle helmet. They thought that was sufficient. Halloween masks, we saw a number of those come through, especially when we had the mask shortage and people were buying them out and no one could get their hands on them. People were also making homemade hand sanitizers, and they would be bringing in their own bottles and things like that. We had a woman come through our ER, and she was making her own in-home hand sanitizers, and was a lot of people lost their jobs during that time. So she was advertising, hey, I'm selling these. I made them myself. Would you like to buy them? And we were all just kind of looking around like, I want to say yes because I don't have them right now, but I can't because there are regulations, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things like that happened. It was a really lighthearted way to get through the day, because your day got real tough real quick. But seeing things like that you could kind of make little jokes out of here and there, that really did help out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It went a long way. And we think it went a long way knowing we were all in it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law was in a retirement community, which locked. As a family, we couldn't see her for an entire month. And we talk to her, call her, we do FaceTime. But there's several people that got together and they worked with us, the families, and then the individual in the facility, and we all decided to do. They did Jeopardy, where we did it on a tablet, and then we did and then we did Zooms, then we did balloons, and we put them up in the air. We did anything to make our families feel like they were part of society, even though they were a locked facility that they couldn't leave. Nobody can go in, nobody can come out. And it was hard. It was hard for all of us. So we got as creative as possible just to make their lives happy. Something, that they could see or do. They couldn't let nobody win in. So I mean, it's not funny, but it's about family. It's about love. It's about caring and giving. And we talk about that in nursing. But it's like touching the soul of the individual. If you do that, even if you do it through a Zoom or a phone call, they're happy till the next day. And that's what gets them through. And that's what got through all these people through COVID.